I go down the stairs, and when I get down the stairs, the police is sitting there waiting for me. And I say, can I smoke my cigarette now? Because I don't watch TV. And on TV, they be having them in the handcuffs and they let them smoke a cigarette. This man ain't let me smoke no cigarette. That shit is fake that you see on TV. Just FYI, they ain't doing that. You know when people say it's not what you know, it's who you know? This is a classic example of that. Because I didn't even know that I knew who I know. Yesterday, I was headed home and I was driving. And I was coming up on this sign. And it was showing different messages and all. And when I got close to it, the message that came up said, if God can make a bug's butt light up, imagine what he could do for you. And when I first seen it, I looked at my husband. I said, did you see that sign? He didn't see it because he was in his phone. And I laughed a little bit and I rode on down the road. But it stuck with me. And it stuck with me because it's true. And I started thinking a couple of things. For one, and not to get deep with the bug, but I started thinking, first, I don't think I ever seen a lightning bug in the daytime. But you know what? I probably have, but I wouldn't know that I saw a lightning bug because it's not until the darkness that a lightning bug really shows out. And then I started thinking about how you never really know what someone's been through or came from. You just see where they're at now. And it made me want to tell my story. Now, in order to tell my story, I got to take it back. I got to take it way back, okay? But just stick with me. So when I first got out of high school, I went to the community college. I was interested in the medical field, but not sure exactly what I wanted to do. But my parents came up with the idea that I would take my prerequisites at a community college. And then after those first 2 years are done, then maybe I'll have more of an idea exactly what I want to do. I think what my parents knew is that I wasn't going to do right because I stayed not even a whole year there and I dropped out. See, the thing was I was working. I got my first job when I was 16. I was working at Bojangles and I was making a little bit of money. But when I graduated high school, I was available more hours. Available more hours mean I was making more money. And back then, that little bit of money, I thought I was doing something. I was rich. Well, I wasn't rich, but you know what I mean. I don't need nothing else. So I started focusing on the right then money and not the money I can make in the future if I continue with school. And I stayed at Bojangles for 4 years. When I left Bojangles, I went to Winn-Dixie. If you're in the South, you know Winn-Dixie. Well, Winn-Dixie got bought out by IGA, so now I'm at IGA after that. And I stayed there for a little over 4 years, right? Now, while I'm at IGA, I end up getting pregnant, go out, have a baby, go on maternity leave, and I come back. Now, this is an important part. And it's a part I don't talk too much about anyone, but I'm going to tell y'all. So while I was out on maternity leave, 2006, August, my son will be 20 next week. Side note. Anyways, while I was out on maternity leave, the lottery came out in North Carolina. So when I go back after having my son, I'm a bookkeeper because I've worked my way up now. I'm a bookkeeper, but I have a manager who is every day scratching lottery tickets, right? And she tells me, she'll be like, come over here and ring these tickets up for me. But what she would do is, before she would pay, like I would ring the tickets up, but before she would pay, she was already scratching the tickets, right? And she got $20 worth of tickets, and she'll say, well, I won $27. So here's the tickets, and you only give me $7 back. Mind you, she's my manager, and I'm young, too. I'm like 23 years old. So whatever she says, I'm just doing it. Okay, $7, here you go. So one day I go to work, and they call me up before I clock in. They call me up to the office, and the loss prevention guy is in there, and he says, hey, we just got a couple of questions for you. did you know Melinda was stealing? And I said, no. He was like, are you sure? You was around when she was stealing. And I tell him no. Like, Melinda used to do something like, she had a teenage son, because Melinda was older. Melinda would like buy a soda and not get the soda right then, just put her thank you sticker on it or get it later. But she would do it so she can get like cash back to give her son. I know Melinda did that, but that's not stealing. She paid for the soda. She just did it to get cash back. And he said, I'm not worried about them Diet Mountain Dews Melinda is sucking down. He said, I'm talking about the lottery tickets. So I'm like, oh, no, I don't know nothing about that. So he starts pulling out these lottery tickets and he's laying them on the table. He got them all laid around. And he says, Melinda didn't pay for these lottery tickets. And you was down there with her when she wasn't paying for them. And I'm like, no, she paid for every lottery ticket she got when I did them. Because we used to have to put the numbers in. At the end of the day, we had to count, or look at the number on the lottery ticket, and we had to log it. And my numbers weren't never off. So, no, we was good. But he explains to me that what Melinda was doing wasn't right. That she was scratching for the winnings and then paying after that, and that was stealing. Okay. And then he says, well, what about Don? Don is another manager there. I don't care nothing about saying their names. It's okay. Don was, do you remember when, like, I don't know if they still have it, but the grocery stores had where you could take your baskets of change and dump your change in. It was called Coinstars in the store I was in. But you would dump your basket of change. It would print a receipt. You take it to the cashier. You could buy groceries with it, or you could just get the money. And he told me that Don, too, was stealing. Don was another manager. And he said that Don was making like duplicate Coinstar receipts or reprinting, going in the machine and reprinting and cashing them out. And that's how Don was stealing. No, I don't know anything about that. So he gives me this speech about how we got to start, watching out for people and this and this and that. And then it flips. Like, he does a complete 360 and starts telling me that my stealing that I was doing was wrong, and then I shouldn't have been helping him. Like, it was just like I was up there lost on what he was talking about. He tells me clock out and go home. I go down the stairs, and when I get down the stairs, the police is sitting there waiting for me. They put me in handcuffs and actually take me. First, they took me to the little jailhouse, whatever, in the town, and it was real small. And I remember sitting in there praying, like, I don't know what's going on, but God, please, whatever this is, get me out. I need to be out of here. And at the time, I got a 6-month-old baby. I got a baby, And they take me downtown. They do the, and let me tell you, I don't watch too much TV. Because when he puts me in the back of the car and he takes me into the jailhouse in the little town I'm in, he says, he puts me in there and he has me sitting like in this little cell. And I say, can I smoke my cigarette now? Because I don't watch TV. And on TV, they be having them in the handcuffs and they let them smoke a cigarette. This man ain't let me smoke no cigarette. That shit is fake that you see on TV. Just FYI, they ain't doing that. Anyways, they take me downtown, do fingerprints and all that, give me a court date. I get a lawyer or whatever. But remember, I'm a single mom and I got a newborn baby. So I have to find me a job. And I get a job at the chicken plant because that's the one place you can walk in the chicken plant today and start work tomorrow. They ain't asking no questions. And there ain't nothing wrong with the chicken plant. If I had to go back there now, I would, because it's a job. And I'm not above doing any job. So I'm at the chicken plant now. A year goes by, 2 years go by. I'm starting to get comfortable. I make friends with the line leader. I'm like, hey, show me how you do this. Show me how you set this up. Now she's training me to be a line leader also. So now I'm a line leader. Now I'm working the scale. The whole point is I'm not on the line no more like everyone else. I'm learning all this other stuff that allows me to be off the line and walk around and kind of have some freedom. Then one day I'm like, you know what? Sign me up for the pallet jack safety class. That's what I want to do next. So now I'm a line leader and I got the little sticker on the top of my head saying I took the safety class and I could work the pallet jack. So now the bundle get full or the pallet get full that we doing and I go grab my jack. I got my own little jack assigned to me and I go get it and I'm going through the plant, honking the horn at people, telling them to move out the way and all. I get real comfortable, right? 4 years in, One day I'm sitting there, I go home, and my hand just kind of locks up on me. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know what that is, but that kind of, and this goes on for a while. So one day I go in there and I go to the medical office, to the nurse. Her name was Bobby. And I said, Bobby, I need something for my hands. My hands are starting to hurt. And she says, okay. She gives me like BioFreeze or whatever to rub on my hands and tell me I can come back later if I need some more. And after a couple of days, my hands are still bothering me. Like I'm going home and these hands, I'm fine when I'm at work for the most part. But when I'm getting home, my hands are locking up on me and starting to really bother me. So I go to the nursing office one day and I tell Bobby, I say, hey, Bobby, I don't need just the BioFreeze. I need to know what I can do to make this pain stop forever. I don't want to keep dealing with it. And Bobby's answer to me changed everything. Bobby looked me dead in my eyes and said, if you don't want your hands to hurt, you got to leave here. Why are you here anyways? You need to be in school and doing something else with your life. And when she told me that, I said, okay. And I went home and I remember looking on the TV and Miller Mott had just opened up in Fayetteville. And I remember sitting at home watching TV and that commercial came on. If you want to change your life and start a new career and whatever they say, and they say, call this number. So I get up that next morning and I'll call. Yes, I'm ready to change my life. Sign me up. I want to go. So they have this medical assistant program and I go down there and they move you through real fast. It's like boom, 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 boom. You go in, you say, I want to sign up. They have an appointment. They taking a placement test. They getting your records from school. They getting everything they need in like one day. Literally, I'm telling you, I walked in that morning and by the end of the afternoon, the end of the day, I'm ringing a bell and everyone's around me clapping. They get you good in them schools. They don't really explain how much it costs and what you about to get yourself into, but that's okay. So I changed my work schedule and I go and start working on a line that comes in earlier so that I'm able to get off earlier and go to school. But it's a lot on me, a lot. And then there was a lot going on at that time, a breakup, and then now I'm the single mom. I'm trying to do things on my own. The darkness came. That lightning bug. I finished school, okay? When I finished, my counselor told me, I got a good opportunity. I think you'll get a job. I said, okay. So she reaches out to some other students to do these open interviews, these interviews at the school. This company is coming, they're going to interview us. And then I passed the first part and I go to the second interview, which is actually at the office. And I have to interview with their medical director, the doctor there. And I do that interview and I thought I did it good, but I didn't because I didn't get the job. But I had already told the lady that owned the daycare that my son was going to that he was going to be coming back because I think I'm about to start back working because I had quit the job. Halfway through school, I was like, you know what? I need to focus on school. I need to focus on not what's going on right now. I need to make sure I have my future set. And they was giving out them school return checks too that we didn't realize we had to pay back. But everything was good. So I'm focusing on school. So I tell the daycare lady that Allison's going to start coming back full time because I'm sure I'm going to get this job, but I don't get it. So I see her one day and she asked me about it and she said, hey, what happened with the job? I told her I didn't get it. And she said, where was it at? And I told her. And she said, oh, she says, did you interview with this guy? And she says his name and I'm like, yeah. And she said, well, let me check on something. I'm like, all right. So a couple of days go by and the guy in HR calls me and tells me that they had an opening come up and asked me if I was still interested. Yes, sign me up. So I went and did my drug test, all that, went down there, got hired, orientation. I later learned, after I started, that the lady that owned the daycare, Her nephew was the HR manager. You know, when people say it's not what you know, it's who you know, this is a classic example of that. Because I didn't even know that I knew who I know. But it worked out. So I end up getting hired, and September 20th will make 14 years that I've been at that job. If God can make light come out of a bug's butt, imagine what he could do for you. Thanks for watching.